All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Artistically Married, where art and opportunity collide. We're your hosts, Jake Ackerman.
And Brianne Steinberg.
And today we have Jon McGowan with us.
Yeah, Jon is a dynamic entrepreneur. He's into real estate. He's an owner of a hip camp in Port Burwell. Also the founder of a children's coding company and dabbling in DJing. Mm-hmm. You're just all the things.
I do a lot of things.
Yeah, I love it. We always, you hear about people saying like, dive into a niche and kind of stay in your lane. And I hate that. I hate that. I'm like, no.
It must be fun to drive behind.
No, yeah. I'm like,
She's not staying in her lane at all.
No, I think follow all your passions, and you only get, if you only get one life. I think that you're on the same line as us, where if you're passionate about it, then you dive in.
Yeah.
With all four limbs.
Holy smokes, do I ever?
Yeah.
I definitely do not just sort of put my toe in the water. I just kind of dive in head first, neck first sometimes.
Yeah. But I love that.
No, it's an acquired skill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a skill. Like you can't sort of tiptoe around your dreams.
Yeah.
And you really do need to immerse yourself and dive and commit.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable to not commit too. I think a lot of people have dreams that they don't act on, that they kind of carry with them, and they maybe dabble. And when you talk to them, it leaks out of them the sense of sort of disappointment, the fear, that they're like, they're going to miss their chance and doubt. And it's like, I'm certainly not without fear, but I definitely have no attachment to any of my, baby businesses that have not blossomed in the way that I thought. And, I was talking the other day to a friend of mine and about you got to kill your children. Like some of them just don't produce, and not your actual children, just to be perfectly clear, the human ones, but because of, and that's what I mean by diving into, like a business is like parenthood, right?
Yeah.
And the part that everyone loves about parenthood is the making of the babies. The same as like when it comes to business, the part everyone loves is like the ideas, right? The ideas is like the sex part of business, right? Where you're like you're with your buddies and you're in a bar and you're like, oh my God, I got the best name for a bar, and you're like, wow, like Jimmy's Hot Shot, we'll serve like heated Jägermeister. And like, oh, what a great idea.
I love this.
Yeah, I love this idea. Oh my God, a heated Jägermeister. Oh God, high-fiving each other. We're gonna be rich. Yeah, that's right. See, like that's the part everyone loves about business. So fun, and like they're planning what kind of limousine, and then next thing they're fighting like, no, I want the SUV style limousine, and like, no, I want the classic limo. That's what makes my grandfather proud, And so you get into this mindset of putting the what I call the good problems before the bad problems.
Yeah.
And the good
cart
problems
before the
are
horse.
like, the cart before the horse. The good problems are like, we're growing so fast, and what do we do? And like, we can't agree on a limo for our grand opening. Those are good problems.
Yeah.
And anyone who's actually dove into a business would love those problems. Bad problems, no customers, failed marketing plan,
no SOPs,
no money, no standard operating procedures, like just on and on and on.
Yeah.
And if you don't solve those problems first, or worse, you try to solve those problems and you fail, then you are, you have to look at that objectively as a model and say, maybe that model didn't work out.
Yeah, we were talking pre-show about, kind of that feedback loop. And I think that comes into play where you kind of you're constantly checking in with yourself and your baby and deciding whether, that baby is going to turn into a toddler or whether you're going to off it.
Well, it's, drop
it in a dumpster.
Drop it off at the orphanage, the business orphanage.
Exactly.
What's this dumpster full of like weird signs and ugly home printed business cards?
Toys. Misprinted.
A million business cards.
Oh,
look,
so many
spelled
business
wrong.
cards.
Like, what is this name spelled? Or is that because they can only get that domain? How many Y's can you put in a word? .ad? Like, what is that? Like, what is? You can get the .com, I guess. Stuff like that.
You just cut the bottom of the card off because you don't have that phone number anymore.
This used to be a Staples business card. It actually has the address of my local Staples, and handwritten on the back says CEO. Who's Doug Smith? Who is this guy? Yeah, he's in his basement with his friends high-fiving over his, heated Jägermeister bar, Hot Shots, the bar that just failed. It just didn't work out. Turns out nobody wants hot shots. Hot Jägermeister in summer is disgusting, right? And like his friends are like, switch to cold Jäger, and he's like, no, I have integrity.
It's Hot Shots.
It's my dream. It's my vision.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys. This is my baby.
Yeah.
And then he's just out of money, and he's dragged through the mud, and then he has to close the doors, right?
Yeah.
So
that really is it. Don't run out of money.
Don't run out of money. Well, that's the ultimate feedback loop. Right? And it's the thing I think people are most afraid of finding out is that, they have a dream, they have an idea, they can imagine themselves in that role, being that hero, whatever, the CEO, the benevolent one, cutting checks and just like, make it rain, bro. And
I always say to Jacob, I'm like, we're living on a beach in Fiji. And he's like, uh-huh. I'm like, if we do this, this, and this, we're living on a beach in Fiji.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's not realistic.
Well, visualization is super important.
Manifestation is great.
Man, it's everything to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your thoughts create reality.
Totally.
But reality does have to arrive through inspired action and the doing step that I think a lot of people skip.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Good problems before bad is that, they skip the hard work, the hard stuff. Like for example, as a coach, I work with a lot of people. They bring me ideas all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to assess, like, are you going to go hit the streets and just have 100 people reject you? Are you that kind of person?
Are you ready for that?
Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
And you can tell right away. Just from very, very quickly, like what they're saying and what they're willing to do themselves, whether or not they're going to, push their baby out into the world and face that rejection until they arrive at a place where they actually have something valuable and get that feedback loop going from, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Public. And that's the ultimate feedback loop in business, is when your customers are willing to buy your product, love what you sell, and are willing to tell other people. Virtually every successful business, absolutely every single successful business has grown because of word of mouth. Yep. And it's word of mouth because you've provided something truly valuable at a price point that is truly exciting for them, and they want to tell people, they want to share that news with others. People love to spread good news like that. Yeah. And most people, I think, when they're thinking of a business, they're trying to think of like a marketing hack. Here's one weird trick, and so
30 ways,
right. You just download my video. It's only $27.99. Yeah. But it's gonna go up. You got 13 hours. Yeah. 13 hours to click the link, buy the video, download it, live in Fiji, love your life. Right. Thank me later. Yeah. It's money back guarantee, right? So all of these kinds of like marketing hacks. People are constantly, they're looking for hacks. You spend so much time looking for hacks that you actually could have just hit the pavement, gone door to door,
done the work,
found out that your idea was bad, but had 100 conversations with real people with real money that's told you, if you have this thing, if you did this thing, and so that is actually the essence of all the things I am or do. I am an Agile coach.
I love that.
And so an Agile coach Agile is a business philosophy that teaches to focus on satisfaction, emotional outcomes over following profit and process.
Mm-hmm. And really, at the end of the day, that's how we spend our money. We spend our money on like emotional resources for ourselves. So I think that's a great way to teach people how to promote themselves and how to build a good business with good service and good product, is understanding that you are connecting to someone emotionally.
Yeah, well, it's emotionally satisfying. Like, it's emotionally satisfying to find what you're looking for. If you have a need, you're experiencing some kind of pain, right? Some kind of like, I need this thing or I want this thing, and then I get it. And I did a lot of work in payments. So, as an Agile coach, my background, software engineering, information science, right? And so I had my own business for 20 something years.
Amazing.
And it is amazing. It really is. And I had incredible opportunities, and I've worked with a lot of different spaces. And early on, I was doing a lot of like payments work for banks and things, right? Because I live in Toronto, so obviously you got to work in the finance industry. Yeah. And
then you can carry that into everything.
Well, it's a really interesting way to understand the plumbing of the world, like the backbone that like animates so much economic activity. Yeah. And with payments, like payments are hard because of trust. Right. And so when I hand you money, there's a moment where you have my money, but I don't have my thing.
Right.
And so that moment requires trust.
Right.
And so then
Back in the day, that used to be like a whole lot of trust. You were
whole lot of
handing over a
trust.
piece of paper that had a number on it
Yeah.
and hoping that you were going to deliver.
Right. Yeah. And are you going to get gold? Like, good, paper notes used to be
Yeah.
representative of gold. Well, before that, it was actual gold. I had to
Yeah.
physically move gold to you, or
be a
silver, or
miner.
beads,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
shells, all kinds of different things that people
Yeah.
use as money.
Yeah.
And even that is interesting, like why people would develop trust in some physical thing.
Right. In a
Now-
currency system.
In a currency system,
Yeah.
right? Like, and it's because
Now we got
other people.
cryptos. Yeah.
It's evolved so much, right?
Right.
So other people have to trust it as well, and that's that dynamic feedback loop, right? That's
Right.
like, it's like what makes money valuable is I'm not the only one that values it.
Yep.
Right.
We're all sharing it.
Yeah, we're sharing in a trust network, and
Right.
it's the trust is the real essence of that network, and being able to build trust, right, is actually really fascinating and important. And as a business owner, like it should be your number one objective.
It's
is
your
to build trust.
consistency. I would say that changed my business last year.
Is that right?
Number one was I got a software that was taking the payments that my clients could trust. And it was auto paying. So it was like direct
Nice.
depositing. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Changed my business.
Totally.
My client trusts it. I trust that they're coming and I don't have to chase them for anything. That time involved, everything is the trust in your financial coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so many small businesses are service based, right?
Right.
And so service based businesses are massively risky for consumers because I'm
Right.
giving you money,
You're going to show up.
and am I going to show up, and am I going to get what I want? And so learning to manage those expectations of a variety of people. And knowing that you can, like, it's not a physical good. Like with a physical good, I can look at this pen and be like, I want a green pen, and I look at it and immediately know it's a green pen. But if I'm going to
know
come
what you're
to
getting.
you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign up for dance classes. Am I going to be overwhelmed? Is it going to be too hard for me? Is it going to be too, or for my kid? Are they going to like it? Are they going to get along with the other kids? There's a million intangible factors.
And the dynamic needs now are just becoming greater every day. Right?
Neurodivergent dance classes for left-handed teenagers under the age of 16, but
Exactly.
over 15 and a
Who
half.
refuse to wear the color pink.
You will not. No. Those pink. Oh my God, just puked in my mouth a little
Right,
bit.
exactly.
Yeah, no way, man.
Exactly,
Yeah.
It's
and
becoming more and more diverse, the needs of people, right?
the needs of people are becoming more specialized, and
Yeah.
and again, we were talking a little bit about that before we jumped onto this podcast or whatever. But is the feedback, right? The machine that is out there, that is just beaming messages at people of specialness and entitlement, and like you deserve a break, you deserve a Kit Kat, like that.
You deserve exactly what you want.
Exactly what you want, right? And companies
Yeah.
compete on that, but they have enormous resources, right?
Right.
Relative to you as a small business owner,
Yeah.
and so you really got to be very, very sharp and clear and clever and flexible at the same time.
Yeah.
In who you are, what you offer, and what your customers
Yeah, your
want.
offerings are
You know,
huge. Yeah.
And you're competing with these so-called 800-pound gorillas. I actually think it would be a lot easier to compete with an 800-pound gorilla.
Compared to Amazon?
Compared to
100%.
Amazon, I'd give me the gorilla.
Give me
all
the
day.
gorilla. Yeah.
Like I can run away from a gorilla. Amazon's here with us right now,
Yeah.
listening to our
Prime
podcast.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just need to order something. It's Black Friday. I hope I can still get a deal. I feel this pressure.
I hope it's going to be here by 2:00. I have nothing to wear.
Yeah, no, we're all sitting here naked. We forgot that detail.
We're trying
It's
to
weird.
prime our clothes by 2.
It's like it's snowing outside. What does that mean for our delivery schedule?
Oh my
I'm not getting
God.
real-time updates.
Yeah.
The Wi-Fi down here.
Oh my God.
Anxiety-inducing, attention-sucking.
Expectations.
Right?
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So really being crystal clear on kind of what your mission and your value is to others. It's that feedback loop. And as an Agile coach, that's been what I've been coaching people on for my whole career, is like learning by doing.
Amazing.
Not by studying, not by sort of academically researching, not by hiring experts or outsourcing. Like that's a huge trend for small businesses. They want to kind of outsource everything before they've even done anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like I see that all the time. People haven't built a business, but they've got assistants and stuff. And it's like, well, you're losing the chance to gather feedback from your customers. And that molding of the learning by doing is what actually creates your business and gets you to that place of I've got an offering that I can sell profitably to customers who will rave about my service.
And I know that because I've done it myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's why we're talking.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's why we're talking.
Yeah.
And you know, like,
I think you're also coming in at like such an important time because we are getting an entire generation that's trying to sit behind their phone and do all the things.
right.
They think that they can just, research it and it's going to magically happen, or outsource it and it's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
becoming, I'm watching because we both watch kids as they grow up,
Right.
and they're becoming it's exceedingly more difficult for them to take that first step.
Yes.
They can't even put the phone down to walk out the door to take the step.
No, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's because they're untested, right?
Yeah.
And because they haven't actually gathered that feedback.
And
right?
it's scary.
It is scary.
It's scary to talk to people. It's scary to like show them your offering. It's scary to get feedback.
Yeah.
So all of those things, I think you coaching people through that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they need, it's good to have a mentor. It's good to have someone that's gone through the process. And that's something that I always, tell people to look for, and I look for it myself. Like if I'm ever going to do anything new, I want to find someone who has done the thing.
100%.
Not an expert who's researched it, not someone who's going to give me an opinion. Somebody who's going to actually say, I did it. I did it, and it hurt, and it sucked.
Yeah.
And then I got up, and then I tried 10 more times, and all of them failed. And then the 11th time it clicked, because I finally just didn't care if it failed. And as soon as I stopped caring if it failed, it started to work.
Yeah.
That kind of magical manifestation, when you let go, it arrives.
Yeah.
Those kinds of moments are exceptionally real in the experience of anyone who's actually kind of walked the road to successful business, small business.
Ownership. Yeah.
Ownership, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say the first thing I did was my payment software, and the second thing I did was the mentorship, the coaching program that I've hired. And you're right, it's twofold. It is the finances, it's the operations, it's your systems, but simultaneously it's the psychological training of just like, this is what you're gonna feel. This is how bad it's gonna suck. This is how poor you're gonna get. That's right. Before how much work you're gonna put in before you're gonna get that benefit of tomorrow.
Well, imagine if you don't have a coach and you don't have a mentor, or you don't have somebody that's gone through that process. When you get to that point where you run out of money, or you're not getting anyone who says that they want what you're selling, you think you're done.
Yeah.
Right? You think you're
like,
done.
do I keep leaning in?
So
or
how do I keep
walk
going?
Away?
Like it's actually crazy when you actually think about that moment of the bottom of the cycle of doom. It's insane to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, right?
Right.
Is because, if you don't know that there is some better outcome beyond it, and not only that there's some better outcome beyond it, but what you're experiencing is normal. But, some people are not learning at that point. They're either giving up, or they're holding fast to a vision that simply doesn't work.
Yeah.
I've seen all of these different kinds of scenarios. And for me, the quickest road through that journey is the feedback cycle. Really being very, very attentive to what your customers are telling you, and what your employees are telling you too, right? Like a business is like a living entity, right? It's a supply chain. Your job is to be the middle of that, the absolute center, and balance. And you're balancing, on the one hand, a whole bunch of suppliers. Yeah. And you're trying to find suppliers at the best price, the best quality, the best speed. You're optimizing all of that. Yeah. And then for customers, on the other side, you're flipping that over to customers. And customers are out there and they're spending money on something else, or they're never heard of your product or whatever, but they're out there and you're trying to make that connection. So you're actually just a connector of a big, long, invisible supply of suppliers and customers, and bringing those things together. And if you do that effectively, you always profit. Yeah. You always profit, because there's always waste that's out there. There's always inefficiencies that are out there, the way that things are happening today. So if you manage to bring that together, you've done something special for the world. And it may only be your little corner of the world, but it counts. Yeah. But you got to know that. You got to know that your little corner of the world counts. Yeah. You got to let go of these inflated expectations. And, people watch the Facebook movie. I'm going to be the next Zuckerberg. I can't even tell you how many entrepreneurs come to me talking about Apple. I'm like, as soon as you say you think like Apple, you admire Steve Jobs, I don't want to work with you. Right. Steve Jobs was an incredible asshole. Unbelievable jerk. No, if you actually look up some of the stories about this guy, you will not believe that anyone could ever act that way. And the only reason that he could do it was that he had millions of dollars behind him. Right. And he used it to absolutely
full
become
advantage.
unbearable, unbelievably narcissistic and awful, like a human you would never want to emulate.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. I think like it's so hard for people to separate those two things.
Yeah.
Success and somebody that no one wants to be around. If I took away your friends, your family, your loved one, your connections, I wouldn't trade any amount of money in the world for that. Like,
that's right.
That's home for us, right? So I think they don't realize that. They don't understand that they tend to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
you know, you can't be this like crazy conglomerate and also still have loved ones that care about you.
That's right. No,
and believe you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, there's so many examples that you got to know what you're looking for. But if you look for stories of success and how much despair follows perceived success because they were chasing the wrong thing. How many Olympic athletes win gold medals and become despondent?
Yeah.
Totally depressed. How many billionaires are absolute insane drug addicts? And, you know, they can't function in society. They're estranged from their family. Like, imagine if you're a billionaire. Every person you meet wants something from you. Every person you meet has an agenda.
You have no trust.
You can't go to the corner store without being feared of being kidnapped.
Someone's gonna kill you.
You know, it's nonstop paranoia. Like, it's a completely unenviable. Yet we hold these people up as the epitome of a successful society. And it's like, it's not scalable. There's a tiny handful of them. Meanwhile, it's like if you if you go to a casino, okay, and there's games at the casino, and one of the games is like, you know, the odds are like 1-to-1. Like, you're going to win this game if you just play it. All you got to do is play that game. You're going to win that game. And then there's this other game where it's like 1,000,000-to-1 or 1,000-to-1. And if you play, you're almost certainly going to lose.
Yeah.
Like, we look at billionaires, everyone's playing that billion-to-1 game. And meanwhile, the game you can win that is scalable, simple, achievable is connection, family, neighborhood, local. Like, that's a game you can win. You all you got to do is just get active, get engaged, participate. All you got to do is you play that game, and you will win. You'll meet your soulmate. You'll have children. You'll love your life. You'll love your family. You'll take care of
hobbies you love.
Hobbies, everything that you enjoy doing. Right? Like, you know, you want to be a famous musician, or do you love playing guitar?
Yeah.
People don't parse those characteristics. Do you want to be a billionaire, or do you absolutely love studying retail stores?
Right.
Do you know Sam Walmart, the founder of Walmart, would go on vacation with his family, and he would take like multi-day road trip detours to go to a department store in like middle of nowhere Iowa, and he would be like, just stay here, kids, and he'd get out of the car and he'd walk around the store to understand what made that store successful. Like, he absolutely loved merchandising as a skill. He loved it more, and he's like, I love this more than anyone else in the world.
Right.
And he figured out some things that no one else figured out, and then he was able to scale it. And then they became Walmart, right?
Yeah.
Like, these people love what they do.
Yeah.
And those are the ones, and we got to know that. And too often people are admiring these characters that are like complete narcissists. And what they really want is they want power over other people.
And they're looking at it as like a symptom, right? It's the symptom of the wealth.
Yeah.
But they're not understanding that like the wealth comes from the love of what you're doing, of like the love of, you know, having a passion and like what you're providing and the offerings that you have for people.
That's right.
They say you have to be a psychopath to be at that level. Like, typically they or pass or fail, whatever you want to call it, all the like psychopathy tests, right?
Yeah.
And I think people don't realize
like great
that
examples, right? That's something to admire and emulate.
Right?
But that's all we ever hear about, right?
Yeah.
Like total psychopath narcissists.
Yeah.
And those are the prototypes that we're emulating in society, and that's everyone is getting that message again and again and again, that that's what is admirable. So it's no wonder people are confused.
Yeah. And I think too, like for most of us that are in small business, and you know, everyone hears that story where you provided a product and you did have the interest and the obsession and you loved your, you know, your service, and then you do start to scale and you do start to see your business grow. So sometimes it isn't like a situation. I think you mentioned a really important part, which is like a lot of these giant billionaires had a bunch of money and wasn't backing them. So like when they were investing that money, the capital they already had, they were born with it,
Right.
you know, that they were putting into all this money that like for us that are generating from, let's say you're building it from scratch or from the ground up and it starts to become successful. I think that's the part where you have to be careful with, you know, finding yourself in a position where you had friends, you had love, you loved your business, and now you've scaled so far that you've gone into this other realm,
Right.
and now you've created this monster.
Well, I can tell you that
Instead of aspiring to be a monster, you accidentally became one. You know?
accidentally become a monster.
Yeah.
Well, it is hard to let go.
Yeah.
And you know, I can tell you that I've recently gone through an experience like that where like I scaled, I grew too fast, I took on too much. I've spent the last year really kind of consolidating. So you know, I as an agile coach, that's the foundation of my business. And I got into real estate investing, you know, about 10 years ago, which was a great time to do that.
Yeah, us too. And that really is what we contributed, us having a little bit of backing, like some capital to invest. Yeah.
Well, that's a really like, you know, anyone that's like kind of starting from scratch and you think like, you know, you want to be a Zuckerberg or whatever. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't have a bunch of rich family to kick in hundreds of thousands of dollars to bootstrap my crazy idea.
I'm going to a, you know, private lender begging for $100,000.
Right. And you're paying outrageous interest. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. If you're going to bootstrap, step one is like figure out something that you can be good at that's valuable.
Yeah.
Step two, do it for a decade.
Yeah.
And build a little bit of savings. And then step three, start to buy some assets, you know, and build a you know, a solid foundation for yourself, and then start to think about, you know, freedom and pursuit of what, you know, and by then you'll know who you are and what you want to do and what your passions are and what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Yeah.
You know, but everyone wants to kind of skip those steps and just kind of jump into the freedom zone. And you know, like I've been at this for, you know, like I said, like 20 years, and I started with IT. It was easy for me to wrap my head around it. I understood it. I was good at math, and then I'm like,
That's what
okay,
your education was in.
is in computer science, yeah.
Right.
And it was a terrible education. Like it was not good. I mean, university was. I graduated university. I could not program. It was
We were talking
unbelievable.
about this before the episode of just that, like, you know, studying versus doing, right? The amount of education that's involved in actually getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, well, I was studying like the algorithmic efficiency of binary search trees, and like it was like, okay, I can end formula to figure out this search algorithm versus that search algorithm. Well, guess what?
Does it make you cry that AI can do that in 1 second now?
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
know,
Now
I
it scales so fast, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
You're like, I studied 4 years to memorize all this. I plug it into AI, it's done.
It's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thinking is done as a rational animal, right? I mean, it's AI is going to change so much, and
I was so excited to talk to you about this. I've been studying AI like an animal.
Oh, good. Well, let me give you a quick rundown on you know spreading yourself too thin and kind of reconsolidating. So I've learned that like what I absolutely love is I love to build self-sustaining systems. So self-sustaining systems are where you design something that be that connector of suppliers and customers, architect some processes and software and systems and create opportunities and incentives in that system that allows it to self-sustain. So you can just step back and just watch it grow. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. And that is very much what Agile as a coach, I realized for years as a coach, that's what I was trying to do for my clients, is I was trying to teach them enough to be able to self-sustain their progress in the Agile mindset, where they learned enough from me that if they focused on emotional outcomes, things like satisfaction, instead of just being purely obsessed with metrics like profitability, if they focused on satisfaction and had retrospectives and just followed a consistent cadence, that they became self-sustaining in their transformation. So Agile coaching really is transformation coaching, where you're changing mindsets until they're ready to self-sustain and get themselves on a path where they're learning for themselves. And now they're learning by doing, and that's the time to step away.
Yeah.
I love doing it because it's like, okay, I've created something that's alive, right? A self-sustaining system is like a garden. It's like a garden is a self-sustaining system, right? It grows whether you're there or not, right?
And as a business owner, I love that because there's a start and an end. Like, it's so nice for an entrepreneur who just keeps grinding at the same thing and you feel like you can never get out, that there is like a natural, like you said, there's a cadence to like, you're here, I'm teaching you, and now like fly, you can
Fly,
do this
little
by
birdie.
yourself,
Right.
and now you can move on to something else.
That's
I love
the parenthood metaphor. Well,
Yeah.
I like what you said there. That's actually that's insightful. I'm taking that to heart because I think that's I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it. But you're right. The finite nature of it is really important. But it's like your involvement is finite, but what you're building is infinite in its potential. And it's going to evolve in a way that you can't really predict and you may not control, but you did influence, which is a beautiful legacy, right?
Yeah, and you feel so much, like pride in it.
Absolutely.
Pride in something, and then you can check back in and be like, look, their business is still going. Like, I love that.
That's right.
Yeah, business building.
But I've done this many times for clients and for myself, and a lot of the times I've tried to do it for myself, I've failed. And so I spread myself too thin. I took on too many businesses. At one point, I had a bunch of things going on.
Yeah.
And so I've spent the last year in subtraction and closing things down. And so I shut down these businesses that were not self-sustaining, that were pulling on me, pulling me in, and focusing on the ones that were able, where I could see that endpoint, and I could see that if I put in this much work, I put in this much time, if I build this system, if I design this automation, and if I build this AI, then I'm going to be able to step back and step away. So last year I pivoted away from the coding education, and I got into AI startup, conversational voice AI. And so I co-founded a conversational voice AI company, and the connection was wonderful because I was in the coding school and I was trying to build that self-sustaining process. And one of my biggest problems was speed to lead. So I would pay for leads, and then the staff, the instructors would not follow up in time. And I'm like, if I have to follow up, then I'm not building that self-sustaining business now. It's sucking on my time too much. I want
Speaking to the choir right now.
Right?
This is me. This is what
hard.
I'm stuck in.
It's hard, man. It's such a hard problem.
Yeah.
And so
And
I
it
was
really
like,
does. It's curated to each individual parent and child.
well,
So you
that's
have
the
to be
thing about
specific
service
about your
businesses.
follow. You can't automate the follow-up.
You can't automate the follow-up because everyone's got different questions and stuff like that. And so then last year I got a phone call from a robot. And I started
Pretending to be you?
No, it was offering to become me, and I talked to this robot for like an hour, and it was like I was like, "Hello, new best friend," because I was asking it questions, it was answering questions like in an incredibly engaging way.
Didn't that just happen when we called about the tire place? We couldn't figure out if it was a robot or not. She told us it was a robot.
Yeah.
But the natural intonations and the way her voice sounded was so well trained. I was like, and we literally kept calling back to like check it.
Yeah. It's amazing, right? No, so this is I co-founded a company last year called Nova Echo. They had been around for a couple of years in this is called conversational voice AI.
Yeah.
So conversational voice AI, as opposed to chat AI, like chat GPT type of AI.
Yeah, chatbot.
You can actually speak with voice, and it will transcribe your voice into text. It will generate a response to text, and then it will synthesize that text back into a voice and then dispatch it through the phone or the web or whatever.
And
so
this
you're
is all
talking to
happening
it.
simultaneous.
And it's happening in under a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to faint.
Even the music
I'm so
generators
excited.
are wild too. Like
They're totally
they'll
amazing.
put in like raspiness in the guy's voice and stuff. It's wild.
Oh,
super
so cool.
incredible. And like
Yeah.
as as part of my agile coaching, I've been working with a lot of big companies. They would hire me, and so every step of that journey as an agile coach I've been watching this moment arrive for 25 years, where it's like I was at the dawn of the internet. My very first job, I was overseas, and I was literally installing the internet in universities.
Right.
And now it's like, I'm watching the internet become a self-sustaining system.
Yeah.
Literally, it's coming to life. It's building itself.
Yeah.
I've surely never thought about this, but like, why do they call it the cloud? And it's like, well, because you shoot it up to the clouds, right? It's like, well, not exactly. It's because every network architecture diagram would represent the internet as a cloud, and it would go off into that cloud. But the actual reason is because what happens in the cloud And what happens in the cloud is when you're Netflix and it's 8 p.m. on a Saturday night and millions and millions and millions of people are tuning into Netflix, what's happening is in the Amazon data center or Amazon AWS, right? The cloud.
Yeah.
All of these servers are virtual servers now. So the operating system is basically self-replicating onto other pieces of hardware. So there's a finite amount of hardware that's out there in a data center. Mm-hmm. And when Netflix needs it, these operating systems that run Netflix are self-replicating on demand. So as people are tuning into Netflix through their internet connection, Netflix servers are getting a signal that says, hey, I need another server. Boop. I need another server. Boop. And so it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And so these are called clusters. These self-replicating server instances are clusters.
Working like cells.
Like cells in a body,
Yeah.
okay? Like the analogy between a living system and what is happening with technology is not coincidental.
Right.
Like
they copied us.
They copied us.
Yeah.
It's not that we are becoming like machines. It's that machines are becoming like us. Because we are the living system. We are the example of what is valuable and precious and wonderful.
What's out? Yeah. What the opportunities are.
And so that shape of that environment grows and shrinks like a cloud.
Right.
So that's what it is. It's the self-replicating mechanism, like a cell in a body. It self-replicates, it grows. And then when it's 3 a.m. on Sunday, right, all those instances get returned and recycled, and it goes to the Bitcoin mining guy or whatever.
Right.
And so the constantly dynamic shape changing of the data center as far as who is actually using it, that growth and shrinkage is a cloud. And that has been a big focus of a lot of the enterprise transformation for the last 10 years. I would work with big banks and institutions, and they were like, we got to get to the cloud. We got to get to the cloud. And the funny thing was nobody knew why. You would ask these executives,
or how.
We can figure out how. You just call IBM, and $3 million later, you still don't quite know what they did, but at least you can tell your boss you're in the cloud.
Yeah.
But what was happening is all of this data was getting siphoned into a central place where it could then be analyzed.
Right.
And
so that's the feedback loop.
The feedback loop. Now,
my God, complete satisfaction.
So satisfying. So this guy in Montreal comes up with this idea at McGill, and he's a computer scientist. And this is only about 10 years ago. And he comes up with this idea, and he's like, if I made an algorithm that looks and analyzes a bunch of text and basically compares piece by piece, bit by bit, token by token text to itself, right? I'm going to start to analyze. I'm going to start to extract patterns. I'm going to see things like pronouns, like I, you, we, they, them. Right? I'm going to see things like punctuation, period marks, exclamation mark. I'm going to start to, and then if I do it again, if I loop it again, I'm going to start to see clauses, and then sentences, and then paragraphs, and then if I keep doing this looping algorithm, eventually I'm going to have some kind of pattern of natural language that's going to emerge. And so that's what they mean by
that was like the
models.
first LLM. Right?
Yeah, language models.
So he comes up with this idea that if once I do that, I can then generate a response. So I can put some text in, and I can use statistics to predict what would come out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the response, and I'm going to say, I think a human made that, or I think a machine made that. And I'm going to have humans do that work. And I'm going to have humans look at those responses and say, that's obviously garbage, 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 garbage. And every time I tell it it's garbage, it's going to learn what not to do until eventually it's going to start to produce something that the humans can't tell whether it was made by a human or not. So that self-referential loop is what actually created AI.
Wow.
Now, what's really mind-blowing about that is that that was one basic pattern, okay? It's called a champion-challenger algorithm. So the champion is like, this is made by a human for sure, and then the challenger would appear, and it's like, that's definitely not human, that's definitely not human, but is that? Oh, maybe we have a new champion.
Yeah.
And so every time a new champion would get crowned in the algorithm, the AI gets smarter.
Yeah.
With enough training, the AI then starts to follow that same pattern and teach itself.
You're teaching it, and it's teaching itself.
And now, so if you ask an AI, like what are the layers of reasoning that allow you to generate. It'll say, I don't know. I can't even tell you because I created it myself. And so AI has created itself from very basic, not basic, but like it's from advanced researchers generating this champion challenger type of algorithm, which, like I say, it was a Canadian invention. It was a Canadian discovery.
Yeah, go Montreal.
A researcher in McGill, I forget his name, but he comes up with this idea, and that's where you start to see generative AI. Yeah. That's where you get the G in Chat GPT, right? So the Chat GPT is generative pre-trained transformers. The transformer is you transform input into output, right?
Yeah.
And the pre-training means that it does the analysis of every bit of text it can get its grubby little hands on, all the words that are up now in the cloud, right? So it's got all these words that are up in the cloud. And so it can just repeat loop, and it can generate. So before that, AI, like I was working in AI, like in 2008, I was part of the financial crisis. Because I was a product manager at a company that was using AI, artificial intelligence, to learn how payment patterns would emerge when a customer would be issued a loan. And we wanted to know that because we wanted to loan to people that were subprime. So if you remember, the 2008 financial crisis was about subprime lending, and I was working in subprime lending, trying to create automated lending machines in 2007 and 2006, and those machines would look at patterns in payments to predict if a customer was going to actually pay their loan or not. Right. And obviously we weren't very good at it. Right? So sorry about that. I mean, I'm sorry about ruining an entire generation, but we were having fun, like it was, we had pretty cool expense accounts.
You were studying.
I was learning, right? I was learning. And that was a real cool gig. It was a company called Decisioning Solutions, and we were trying to automate decisions, and so were a lot of other people. And when you took the human out of the mix, you get the financial crisis because those machines were ridiculous. Yeah. Right. I remember sitting with a guy in Dallas where there's a lot of oil, and when you have a lot of oil, it pumps out of the ground, and you have a very unusual problem, which is you have millions of dollars every single day. And
just
that's
flooding
great.
Out of the ground.
It's flooding out of the ground. Like, that's awesome. It's like, not really, because money disappears. Yeah. So if you just hold it, well, it shrinks because of inflation.
Right.
So you have to invest it. So where do you invest it?
And how that fast? You can't even get into investments that fast.
Right. Yeah. You're just going to go buy the stocks, or like, what are you going to do with this money that's pumping out of the ground? Right. And so some of them wanted to get into subprime lending. And so I remember working with this guy, and they wanted to buy a portfolio. There was like 1,000 loans in this portfolio. And they wanted us to analyze it. And I'm like, well, how do you usually do it? He's like, well, usually we'll just kind of like flip through it, take a look a little bit, see what, and I'm like, kind of gut feel it. And I'm like this is like a $10 million portfolio of loans. Like there's like 1,000 loans in there. These are like car loans or whatever, right? And I'm like, so you don't even do like analysis? And he's like, nah, we just kind of gut feel it. And like, this is not long ago, right? And this is somebody that's got like millions and millions of dollars, and they're a steward of this money. They're responsible to shepherd this money into a safe place. I mean, that was how they worked. And that was not long ago, right? So we had an offering where we were able to analyze and we're like, well, what if we actually pull credit on these people and gather a little data and give you a little statistical analysis? And like, oh, we would never have done that. And it's like, when you think about that, it's like you can understand how, like, next thing you know, Norway is buying billions of dollars of these bundled securities, and all of them had been just assembled, and it was just trust upon trust upon trust with no one actually doing the work. So the point is, when you take the human out of the mix, bad things happen. Mm-hmm. When you rely on machines to tell you left and right and up and down and right and wrong, bad things happen. And now we're in this AI age, and people are seeing like AI can generate all this text, it can do all this thinking for me, and we're going to stop making decisions, and we're going to stop thinking and being, curious. We're just going to ask AI, and AI is just going to tell us. Yep. You take those humans out of the mix, and it's not going to work out good. And that's why it's really important at this early stage to just get deep into what it means to be human and really understand, like, we got to listen to our hearts now that AI does all the thinking for us.
Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it's wild too. Like the problem that we have now is that it's too good. And I think people can now notice that like, oh, a robot made that because it sounds way smarter. It's way more eloquent. Like, you know?
And maybe like you said, you take the thinking out and like, we're going to get more and more stupid as a species.
Well, I'll tell you, I've thought about this, right? And with feedback loops, right? So, you know, with feedback loops, it changes things. AI is going to change us. It's not going to change. It's not just going to change like, you know, how we think or how we work. It's going to change us as a species.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Like we're in 100 years, we're not the same species as we are today.
Well,
in 1,000 years, we're completely like a different species altogether.
Yeah.
And I think of it like this. It's like, was it 250,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, there were, you know, these proto-humans. They were not humans yet. They were proto-humans, right? They were before they were humans. They were primitive. Not the right word, but you know, they were not like modern humans. But when scientists, you know, analyze human remains, they're like the human genome, DNA, hasn't really changed in like 200,000 years.
Yeah.
So what happened 200,000 years ago? Well, what happened 200,000 years ago was fire. Fire came along, and what did fire do?
Best tech.
Fire was the beginning of technology for the
Yeah.
human experience. And,
Right.
and what kind of technology is it? Well, what fire does exactly from a technology perspective and as a biological evolving technology is it is like an external stomach.
Right.
Fire digests
cook our
food.
food.
It cooks our food. By cooking our food, it digests our food, which makes the calories easier to extract. And so what that does in a biological sense is when you
Thrives.
eat cooked food,
Yeah.
you have capacity, right? Your body doesn't need to spend so much time fighting off bacteria and parasites and
Right.
trying to break down raw food. It's eating cooked food.
And it makes it last longer. Like we're
Exactly.
not scarcity. We're not starving to death.
Right.
We have time to think.
Well, and that's exactly what happens. So when you get an externalized stomach called fire cooking our food, it creates capacity in the human being to evolve their brains. And so our brains
Right.
change and we use that excess capacity. It doesn't go to waste, in other words. It
Yeah.
changes into something new. It transforms into something new through that feedback loop. And that feedback loop creates the modern human genome with the big sized brain.
Right.
Right? So that's how we
Yeah,
get
we put more
to
energy
be
into
smart.
our brain.
We
Yeah.
get to be a smart,
Yeah.
rational creature. But now think about this. AI is an external rational mind.
Brain.
It's an external rational brain. So what that's going to do is yes, we're going to get dumber. Maybe if
We're
in the
just
same
going to
way-
grow our stomachs
our-
instead.
I think you're right.
some
Yeah,
will, some
just
won't.
nasty, distended, waddling around.
Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt is our
Yeah.
future. Drinking
Idiocracy.
protein shakes. Idiocracy.
No, drinking Gatorade and so
Idiocracy.
Gatorade, feeding our
idiocracy.
plants with Gatorade.
Yeah.
Oh, it's-
Driving around in wheelchairs because we
Yeah.
can't walk anymore.
Yeah, like Wally. Yeah, everything's gonna atrophy. Oh God, help us. I hope you're wrong, but I think that there's definitely some of us
I
that
go
are
to the
Some will,
gym
some
and I'm like,
won't.
why does everyone
Yeah.
look like this now?
Oh
Well,
God.
I think that's interesting too. Like
frightening.
we're on this like wild like parabolic curve. Like we start with fire 200,000, right? And then I was listening, like the Industrial Revolution is just like we realized steam went up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're in like 1800s. So now, and then that's just rocketed us up now, right?
Yeah.
So that was within like 200-300 years.
Right.
And then now we got AI, and we're just going to be on this like rocket ship incline of the curve, right?
Absolutely.
So like Terrence McKenna said, like just the acceleration of novelty, right? It's just going to be crazy.
The universe loves novelty. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it loves novelty. And if we have a machine that does all the thinking for us, it does all the rationalizing for us. Rationalizing is not the only thing that human beings do, right? We love, we laugh, we connect. We have this invisible.
We paint, we dance, we draw. We have all this art.
Right. Right. So
And
there's
not
a lot
not
more.
for anyone else. It's not like about, oh, you don't need to draw anymore because they can draw better than you. I draw for myself. I dance for
Precisely.
myself.
Yeah, that's right, precisely.
Yeah.
And so with an externalized rational calculating machine, it's going to create capacity for people to introspect and to think about their thoughts and to think about their feelings and to think about their connections. And I'm very into sort of heart-mind connection and seeing those two things differently.
And you're an optimist.
I'm relentlessly optimistic.
Yes, you are.
I'm relentlessly optimistic.
Yeah.
But I part of being a relentless optimist is accepting that there's a lot of, very dark, very negative outcomes that people are worried about, and myself included. But being able to integrate that into an optimistic outcome, it takes work. And for me, the optimistic view of AI is that it's going to lead to emotional intelligence. It's going to lead to heartfelt, intuitive development. And so, to skip to the end, I think, in 1,000 years, we're all going to be in love with each other, dancing and laughing, doing things that humans do, right? On a planet of abundance where, our resources are going to be well managed by rational machines, but our connections to each other and to the planet itself, I think, is going to bloom in a way that's impossible to imagine right now because our senses are too dull. In the same way that, the first 100,000 years of fire, you had these people that were like, forget you guys. Let's go back to the trees. I want to go back to raw food.
Yeah.
Right? This sucks. This is nonsense. You're not a real man. Will you cook your food? Loser.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
You can't even jump from tree to tree. Like, what kind of right? And then he scurries away and climbs up a tree, and they're still there, right? Like that branch of evolution is still out there, and they're doing their thing, and they're jumping from tree to tree. But we became something different.
And a lot of times it's a generational thing too, right? Like you're older, this is the way I did it, this is the way I want to do it.
Sure.
I'm not going to take the time to learn this new weird thing. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But I think generationally, like if we go to our kids, let's say, they're going to have no idea what it was like before AI. Our kids don't understand what house phones were.
Oh, I know.
Like their capacity for connection and communication is just wild now because of their cell phones.
Watch a kid with a rotary dial phone, and they'll just keep pushing on the numbers. And it's just like, what is this not doing? The screen's not changing, Dad. His phone, what's the internet is not connected? What?
We were talking this morning. You were saying I have this memory of doing a book report.
I remember my first time using the internet and then not having that at all before, and then we went to the library and sat down at the computer and then just didn't know what to do, and then someone had to come over. Well, you got to type www dot and go to a search engine.
www dot whoever no one ever could have thought of that. That's the weirdest of all the things. Every human on Earth knows www, and it's somebody had to think that up.
World Wide Web, I guess that was the first cloud. That's the same idea, right? A web of the whole world, being able to connect with each other. And
fundamentally, computer science has not changed in 50, 60 years.
Yeah, it's just refining to such specific degrees.
Yeah, it's gotten smaller. It's gotten small, but the science underneath that underwrites information science, it goes back to Bell Labs and post World War II and trying to figure out a bit had to be invented.
Right.
Somebody had to think of that. What is the minimal unit?
I guess that tapping is still just coding.
Yeah, it's Morse code, right? So, I learned about this because of that school. So the school was an amazing learning experience for me because I was trying to explain coding to kids. And I had parents ask me, well, what is coding? And I'm like, oh, geez, I never really thought about it. And I had to come up with my own answers. And I was like, coding is abstraction. Coding is taking reality and turning it into symbols.
Right.
That's what coding is. And once it's a symbol, you can manipulate it. You can move it around, and you can add, subtract, divide, multiply. You can do all kinds of things once it's a symbol, and then you can create rules with those symbols, and then you can start to predict reality. So you can program a game, and so you can simulate driving down a city street, getting in and out of your lane, right? You can simulate that. And the idea of a simulation is because you can represent reality with symbols and rules, and then you can manipulate those symbols with rules, and you can recreate reality on a screen or in a VR headset or whatever. But that same approach of abstraction is what cavemen were doing on the sides of caves when they were drawing horses.
Symbols,
They're taking reality and they're representing it as a symbol. So coding has been around for tens of thousands of years.
Amazing.
Right? As a way to communicate. And it's communication that is fundamental to our human advantage. Right? That is why humans were not the fastest, we're not the strongest. but we're the best
We're
at
bald.
coordinating. What'd you say?
I said we're bald.
We're bald. Yeah. We can't even.
freezing our asses
We're
off,
freezing our
yeah.
asses off. The glaciers are coming at us. We're like, no.
Yeah.
Like we don't even get
so
out of the way.
slow.
We like live on them. Like what? You're gonna stay? Everyone else is like running away from the glaciers, and we're like, oh, I'm just gonna wear this bear skin.
We'll build ourselves a house. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. No, I don't want to leave. There's
no bugs.
Yeah.
There's no bugs.
Yeah, there's no bugs. Yeah, exactly, right? There's mosquitoes down in the tropics.
Yeah.
I hate those bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're bald. We're useless, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that we're really advantaged in is communication. Right, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah, we're synchronized, right?
Yeah.
That's our human advantage. We can synchronize, and I think that, like, you know, emotional intelligence is a new kind of intelligence that we don't take seriously enough.
Yeah.
Because we have learned that we tend to think of emotions as like a mental process. So, you know, if you ever tell anyone like, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm not good. I'm having a bad day." "Oh, well, why?" "Oh, well, here's reason A and reason B and reason C." "Oh, well, you know, reason A, it doesn't really count, and reason B, you should think about differently, and you're supposed to hear
rationalize
those. Yeah, you
it.
rationalize your emotions, and as if you can just think your way out of your feelings. And I think feelings go way deeper than that. They're way, way more important to our biology.
Yeah.
And we synchronize our feelings, and we synchronize our, you know, like joy. You know, everyone's happy at a party, and then, like, you know, that's what I love about like ecstatic dance, right? Like I love these ecstatic dances because there's no substances other than cocoa, right? So like a bunch of children sitting around drinking hot cocoa.
Yeah,
Like,
that's great.
It's wintertime. Let's have some. Is there marshmallows in it? Yes, organic, free-range marshmallows, obviously, cruelty-free.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it.
And you know, you drink this cocoa and you dance.
Yeah.
But there's a vibe, and people get into it, and they immerse themselves in it because they're given permission to be free-spirited.
Yeah, we're going back to that
synchronized.
Primal childlike state.
Yeah,
You're right.
And it's like, you know, and then people are like, well, I'm processing something. I'm grieving something. I'm heartbroken. I lost a family member. I got fired from a job. Whatever, you know, like people are able to bring stuff and process it in that way.
Yeah.
That's emotionally intelligent, as opposed to, you know, whatever, you know, substances are great. Medicine is great. There's all kinds of different ways for people to process their emotions.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, as a society, I think that people tend to try to rationalize their emotions.
Right.
And I think that that's going to become very, very taboo in a very short amount of time, because people are going to be like, no, this is how I'm feeling, and I need some sort of resonance, and I need something emotional from you, not just a rational, closed, like, you know, think about the therapist. They're like, I'm not here to get involved. It's like, no, well, that's not what I need then. I need, like, no, I'm just here to analyze you. I'm like, no, I'm not a machine. You want to analyze something, go get ChatGPT. Like, you want to be a machine, it's easier than ever. I want to be a human. I want to think with my heart. I want to feel my feelings. And I want to get back to that joy. And I want to get back to that feeling of connection. And so I think emotions fundamentally are about communicating. It's an ancient, embodied method of communicating with others that we have completely forgotten because we've focused on words and rational, you know, communications and boop, 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 you know, Morse code and stuff.
Or worse, over now we've turned it into like, you know, how can we use it as a tool connected to our finances? You know, we've almost like bastardized it, right?
How do you mean? That's an interesting
comment. We're using our communication. Like now we've kind of gone for like, if you're spending time with someone, that's a currency. If you're using your energy, you know, if I'm like putting words on a paper or I'm saying something, how is it going to get me money?
Oh, God.
Like it's always going in that direction,
God,
right?
Yeah.
So we've like turned to a position where like if it's not commoditized, it's a waste of our time.
Oh my God, it's so tragic.
So we've kind of blocked off that communication, you know, free communication. You rarely see it. And I think that's why we've started the podcast, because it is bringing community together and it's free communication, right?
Sure
it's just like celebrating each other's feelings and emotions and communication.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know the story too, like when same thing with the invention of the book, right? There's people that were like, we can't do this. You're taking away like the intention of like the spoken word, right?
You're killing the papyrus industry, you scumbag. You know, the scroll business is like, I'm a fourth generation scroller.
What are we gonna do with these carrier pigeons?
Yeah, these carrier pigeons are gonna be unemployed, you scumbag. Get the guillotine.
Exactly.
But they were worried about the misinterpretation of and the intention of your speech, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
so writing it down was the
as soon as you
first,
write it down,
yeah.
you lose something intrinsic. I'm very deeply passionate about Indigenous cultures, especially here in Ontario. That was my passion project during COVID, and it
Cool.
absolutely saved my sanity. And it was only because I was trapped and couldn't leave the province, and so I'm like, well, I'm going to explore the province and get to learn the province. And the more I learned, the more incredibly grateful and astonished at the sophistication of the civilizations that organically emerged from what we call Ontario. And one of the most profound things that I took away from that experience was a completely different mindset in that heartfelt intelligence. There's something about Indigenous traditional knowledge that it's like diving into a stream, and the stream just flows and goes and flows and goes. And there's words like in like the Mohawk language. I don't know the word, obviously. But I remember reading about this one word, and this one word was like as long as the page. Okay, so first of all, it's like 59 syllable word, right? And then like, who can even say that?
Yeah.
But the word had this meaning, and when they tried to translate it, it's like, well, you can't really translate this word, first of all.
Yeah.
But what it basically meant was it's the person who is able in a council to create a feeling that everyone else in the council is been heard, and pull together all of their feelings and emotions into a coherent vision that everyone is able to trust, and then take that vision out into the world and make it into something real. And you're like, what? That's one word. That's one word. And it's like, and you can see that word is capturing a very dynamic process, whereas words are very static, right? Words are like bricks. They have a definition. This is a cup.
Yeah.
And you go to school and it's drilled into you that words have static meaning. Like you sit down, you write a test, there's one answer to that test. The answer isn't, and then you go and then it's not a flowing kind of mindset. And so the more I learned about, as much as I could, it's not easy to learn about because it's so much of it's been erased. So much of
of your learning is based on those concrete language
and
models.
it's very hard to get out of that mindset that like you want to map it back. Like your brain is just like, no, make it make
one
sense.
for one.
Yeah. So Indigenous traditional knowledge is there's all kinds of traditions, all kinds of nations, but they all, so many of them still exist.
Yeah.
They're still around, and the places where they evolved their culture are still here in Ontario. And so I would go there in the pandemic, and I would just kind of hang out and like feel into it. And in that act of going there and just being there and feeling into it, it was like this immersive imagination would bubble up inside me, and I would try to imagine and connect with what these people, these humans, these original forgotten founders of Ontario, what they were thinking and feeling and doing. And it was such a divergence from the traditional way that as a Ontario
Caucasian,
born Caucasian growing up with a Western mindset in the education system, like that way of thinking is like it's dates, it's facts, it's figures. King Henry VIII was born in 1482 and I don't know if that's right, but you know what I mean? Like like it's facts and figures. You're drilled in that way of thinking, and then to go on that experience, and it was like a journey, and they talk about a journey all the time, like and that happened here in Ontario. The level of sophistication, it's right here. People think you go to Egypt to visit an ancient civilization. It's like you could go to Aurelia and discover a 5,000-year-old remnant of a fishing weir that was there, and it's right under the stinking highway that you drive past it when you're going to Muskoka. And you're like, oh wait, that's probably an Indigenous word too. And it's like it's like this buried level of history that's all around us, and it's a shift in mindset to tap into this continuous flow. It's the closest I can describe it into words. But what a change, what a difference it made in my approach to life and in my being, because I just felt like I just was like not interested in facts and figures and words anymore. And it's funny because like, I'm a computer scientist, and that's all bits and bytes. And it's like, it either works or it doesn't. The software compiles or it doesn't. So I'm very deeply trained in that kind of rational thinking.
Black and white.
But
yeah.
as soon as I saw AI, as soon as I saw its power to think and rationalize, I'm like, this is a dead end.
Yeah.
Like
now
trying to be a facts and figure accountant, scientist, rational minded person. You can still obviously do it, but it's a dead end. And the future belongs to people that are able to grasp their intuition and feel with their hearts and acknowledge their feelings and think deeply about the intrinsic value of every single living thing around you and not just skim over it. Not, in other words, it's the complete opposite of what you're describing, which is that transactional commodification of relationships. That commodified relationship is a total dead end. Every single one of those kind of like influencers, if you want my time, if you want my pitch, they're all gonna get AI'd out of existence so fast. And it's like and already you see people are craving authenticity because it's not able to be done by AI. I had dinner last night with my best friend. He's a genius at marketing. He's worked in marketing, so he knows the machine, man. He knows the machine so well. And he was talking about like humor is the signal. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like everything. Like he's trying to write headlines, and he's like, you cannot get AI to write funny headlines. Yeah, it's awful. AI cannot make jokes, and I'm like, oh my god, AI has a limit. It can't do that, right? It can tell you it's like, oh, that's its weakness. I'm gonna giggle it out of existence. Right? You know, like this is where you just gotta tickle AI, and it's just gonna surrender the world. Like, okay, I can't take it anymore. I'm out of here.
I guess the question. I think the question is like, what makes humor? Like, what makes a joke?
What makes a joke? I don't know. I mean, if I knew, I would tell more of them. But I'd scale the shit out of it. Actually, I'd be a billionaire in a heartbeat.
It's a human emotional thing, like you're saying, right?
Something surprising about it, something unexpected, and like so, humor is the signal that AI can't grasp. And in the same way, like I spent those months and maybe years in the pandemic, like using my heart to try to connect to this civilization in Ontario. Like the Wendat people up in the Georgian Bay Area. I spent a lot of time up there. And they're still around. Yeah. They're in Quebec. They got moved around. They have all these crazy stories. But like there's a humor. You talk to people, and there's a humor that you can connect with everybody, and you can make people laugh, and you just feel that humanity shining through. And it's like, you're not doing that, ChatGPT. No, you can. Do my books, please. Okay, I do not want to do bookkeeping. Like, obviously, I'm going to hire the ChatGPT accountant, and I'm going to take the dividend that he's going to pay me every month, right? Yeah. But I will be damned if you're going to make me laugh. Like, you cannot make me laugh, Mr. G, or P if you prefer.
Well, I was laughing too. I heard somebody say, like, with all the AI art and music generators, they're like, "Oh, thanks AI. Now I can spend time doing my like menial task while you create the art for me."
You get to do all the fun stuff.
That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I saw that too. It's like I don't want the AI to make the pictures and the art and do the painting and the music. Do my effing laundry, okay? Take my kids to gym practice or whatever. I don't don't leave the fun stuff for us. But that's where the tastemakers matter, right? That's why these like podcasts like this, like shows like this, and that little community dance events and stuff like that's why it's super important, because human taste cannot change fast enough to become disgusted with AI generated art. Like it can't happen fast enough. You can't not buy a product if you can detect the AI-ness of its marketing fast enough. Like, it's just like, no, give me the local market. I want to know the name of the cow. I want to know the name of the farm. I want to know the farmer's daughter's dog's name. Like, this is where we're going, and it's up to people to make those choices. And I think they already are. And it's only like, this is going to be the unintended consequence, is hyper local awareness of the intrinsic human value of everything that we do. People are going to become super fixated and sensitive and aware of that, because they're just going to be like, otherwise, whatever. That's just ChatGPT trying to suck my wallet.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to go back to like those auras and energy readings amongst each other. I think we kind of always dreamed about this. When we were kids, I remember people thinking like, oh, robots are going to like do these chores for me, right? So I'm going to have these like menial things that I don't like doing in my life. And for some reason, the pain point for people now are looking at it being like, well, if AI takes my job, how am I going to make money?
Yes.
So I think there is that
Yes.
question of like, how does we almost need to like break the financial system before we can be allowed to have freedom, allowed to give ourselves that freedom to think and play and dance because AI is doing all the things that we used to have to do.
Well, I'll tell you, so the vision for Nova Echo, which is the company that I am the CIO and the co-founder of, is that we are building AI tools for people who want to manage, train, and monitor their own AI employees. So the idea is that we're building tools from a human-centric perspective that you're going to be able to see what the AI is doing. If you try to use AI now, you have no idea why or how it does what it does, right?
Yeah.
It's a total black box.
Yeah.
And with conversational AI, you have no idea. It's like it's talking to my customers. I have no idea what is actually going on.
Right.
So, we built our tools so that you can see and monitor in real time the transcripts and the interactions. And then you use that as data to further refine the model. In other words, we're building tools for management. So
Is it built into like a CRM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's got that kind of customer relationship management tool feel about it. But
That's still a lot of transcripts to try to.
Well, we're
so
using
is that what
AI
it's
to
doing
analyze the
analyze
transcripts,
the
right?
transcripts?
But
Oh.
we're very
Take my
carefully.
wallet,
We're
John. Just take my wallet. You can have all my money. Help.
Yes, help, right? Well, we need there's a lot to be done. People are in crisis. Like the AI apocalypse is here. It's like I said, it's crazy. People are losing their jobs like crazy.
Right?
It's awful.
And what do we do now when they don't have a job, they don't have a position anymore, and we're still making them pay their bills?
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, you can't have universal basic income fast enough. You can't have, some sort of collective dividend come soon enough. But there's also going to be
communes,
family villages.
I love family farming.
Family
communes.
farming.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't wait to see my 9-year-old back in the field, just pushing a plow.
For fun.
Yeah.
Not because she has to,
Yeah,
because she wants to feel it.
She's a crappy farmer.
Sucks at it.
You suck at farming. You're just yelling at your kid. Their hands are calloused and bloody. Like, I'm sorry, Daddy. No milk for you.
Oh my God. No, that's the thing, because it won't be a demand, so it'll just be for fun. We'll be doing it because we love to. And I think we are getting like that, but there always is this back part of your head where it's just like, oh God, should I be reading this book or should I be trying to generate more income? Right. But if the AI is taking care of that for us, I hope. I agree. In an optimistic vision, I picture people being able to do things just for the experimentation and the fun of it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like we think of the fun of it as something that we subdivide our lives into family, work, fun, sleep, right?
Yeah, right.
And
sleep.
it's like that's artificial. That's what I mean about the mindset shift that I
we need to
experienced
change our
is
mind.
to see, is to see we deconstruct everything, we put everything into categories. That's rationalizing.
Yeah.
Like if you see everything as a continuous flow and you immerse yourself in that continuous flow, you can discover that you thought you were doing something for fun, but when you say for fun, what you're really doing is you're tapping your intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
And you're finding yourself doing things
your
without being
passion.
told, right? For passion. And it's like, well, what does it produce? Well, it produces something. And then I show someone else and they're like, well, I want it. And we exchange something. Like those kinds of interactions are going to happen and are already happening. And it's like, it doesn't have to be segregated into like fun, hobby, work. I think we're going to see a lot more kind of bleeding in of one part of life into another. And and this is where I think like being an entrepreneur is so valuable because
imperative.
It teaches you that you do have to be able to manage all these different things with a level of focus. Like, I don't know about you, but I know like when I'm with my family, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm giving them focus and attention because I know that is my most precious resource.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to divert it onto a customer, and I'm willing to let the customer go away, quit, whatever. Find someone else. I don't care. Like, this is me at this moment. I'm putting my attention here. And I'm being very precise and very deliberate about that. And that ability to know at the right time what you're going to do with your time. Is that entrepreneurs are the ones that I think need to get really, really good at that, and really, really like understand, like, I'm with my friends, I'm going to sit down. If I have one focused hour as an entrepreneur, I can get everything done that I need to get done.
And I think you hit on a really good point that you've already trained your brain to focus on the satisfaction of your customer. So you already know, like, when you are there and you are present for them, you're giving them exactly what you want. So you're so confident in your service and your product that when you walk away from it, you feel comfortable doing that, right? It's that like self-feeding loop that you know it's still going to go without you there.
That's right. Yeah,
so that's great.
That's the goal, right? And that is
that
something
gives
that
you
takes
the freedom and the
mentorship.
peace of mind when you are with your family.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, that's the mentorship, is that you're trying to teach your staff, you're trying to teach your suppliers that, like, I want you to think about customer satisfaction as the end goal.
Yeah.
You know, I say this to people all the time. I'm like, the goal is not get the job done. The goal is get the customer happy. Those are different goals, different finish lines. And if you just focus on getting the job done, then you walk away, and then the customer comes along and tries to use what you've built for them, and they're not happy, you have failed. But I did the job to scope and to spec and on time.
But you didn't get their feedback on what they felt about it.
Yeah, you didn't go far enough. You didn't go deep enough. And
Yeah.
so you did not actually deliver value. You delivered a deadline.
Yeah.
That's all you did.
Yeah.
And that's not always the right answer. So for me, it's like moving the needle away from, like, you know, on time, on budget, to happy customer, happy employee, happy owner. That triple, confluence of interests between, you know, your suppliers, your customers, and yourself. When you get a win-win-win.
Yeah. Magic.
Yeah. Magic.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good time for a break.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's take a
Do we
break.
need a break?
And we'll be back.
All right, we'll be back. Yeah, it's interesting. I heard one guy saying he was like a big, like, whatever, he's in AI or something like that. He was on some other podcast, and he was like, his prediction was in 3 years, we won't be dealing with money anymore. And I'm like, that's bold. But I was like, can you imagine that world? 3 years, just there's no money anymore, currency.
I hear things like that, and I'm like, there's no way.
I liked thinking about the idea of it. I don't think so either. I think that's the same thing as, like, when we're like, oh yeah, in the year 2000, we're gonna have flying cars, and like, there's a whole kind of like marketplace for like bold and crazy ideas, and the problem with it is that it tends to overlook the value of what's already there. You know, and it's like money is not evil or bad, and that's usually where these predictions are coming from. So I might be projecting a little bit. Maybe this person is not, like a utopian or whatever. But sure.
But there's something really valuable about being able to come up with a number that represents your time and energy and investment, and then share that quickly, because you've abstracted reality, and now you can share it, right? And so if you like, in 3 years, we might be in a world where we don't rely upon our bank balance to decide what exactly we're able to consume.
Or it's just different. Right?
It's different. Yeah. It should evolve, but we should have ways to signal each other, right? Like a fascinating thought experiment is to think about how much information is packed into a price. So as an example, the amount of information is not, like, it does not directly correspond to the quantity of bits that you are seeing. Okay. And so if you look at this and you think that's a 99-cent can of pop, for simplicity, it's $1. So that's one bit. You can represent one with a one single bit. But the fact that this is a $1 can, what does that actually represent? How much information is jammed into that? Well, It's all the information of all of the suppliers that had to go in and be able to successfully create a lasting business, a self-sustaining business.
So you had to mine aluminum.
The aluminum miner, the miners, the machinery, all of that, like that all had to happen for less than that dollar. And then the transportation logistics, and then the
marketing,
water,
the
marketing, the packaging.
Ink that goes into printing it on the
ink,
can.
the designer, the store where you bought it, the electricity for the lights. Like there are literally millions of activities that are, the information from that activity is intrinsically baked into that one single number.
Right.
So a price is actually an incredibly rich source of information when it comes to
a product
coordinating.
Yeah.
Right? Our ability to coordinate all of that activity breaks down if you get rid of prices.
That's why I feel so lazy with the dance studio, because I'm like, I just need my teacher and my building and my floor. And, you know, it's a very like simplistic, especially as like a service, it's a simple business model.
Yeah, I love simple businesses. I love simple businesses. They're my favorite kind.
But again, it is that like heart centered, where like, you know, that teacher making the connection with the kids. So it's also like a feel good business. It's all the things.
Yeah.
I went from like hating my business 2 years ago to just being like obsessed with it.
Amazing.
We're back. Just kidding. We're already back.
Yeah.
You just kept recording while I was gone?
Yeah, I just turned it back on.
Did we catch the flushable couches?
No, I missed that, and I was like, "Oh, this is gold."
This is gold.
But great idea. Flush down the toilet.
Yeah, flush down the couch.
Flush down the couch. Yeah. Executive summary: toilets built into couches.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How do we not have
How
that?
could we fail?
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Everybody sits on couches.
Everyone pisses.
Everybody pisses.
Yeah.
Right? I learned that when I was a toddler.
And no one wants to get off the couch anymore.
Nobody wants to get off the couch.
Just need your Snuggie, and then nobody sees it.
Yeah, you just have a blanket over yourself.
I'm talking about
that.
Depends and Snuggies doing the ultimate mashup.
Combo.
Bring it together. Like, how are they not in talks right now?
Yeah.
We should be facilitating a workshop where they're just in the room for hours and hours and hours, and they finally nail it. It's like, wait a minute, a Snuggie as a diaper. And like, you knew the whole time where it was going, but it took them hours to get there because they're not creative, right? They're in the corporate world. You know, those poor corporate people, they just can't get creative because it goes against their job description. You know, it's against policy to have your own ideas in the corporate world.
We have AI for that.
Yeah, that's what AI is for, said your manager, who is also AI.
Oh my God. Maybe I'm AI.
Yeah, I had that suspicion from the start.
You look like a robot.
I am a robot, you know. I'm a what are these, cyborgs? I almost said synthoid, but
Ooh, a synthoid.
Cyborg.
I like that. Cyborg.
Cyborgs.
All right, so
did I answer all your questions? So we've been trying to schedule this for eons.
I know.
And,
this was amazing.
Difficult to coordinate and
I know
land,
you're a
but
busy
here we
guy.
are. I'm a super busy guy, but I love what I do, and I'm busy because I love what I do, right? And you know, like I built wonderful business, and I love to keep it simple, and you know, I love my customers, and you know, having a background as a coach is like, you know, I just evolved from, you know, chasing big corporate clients and, you know, having to kind of drink their Kool-Aid and working with them to having my own business where, you know, I've got my, you know, my customers are happy and I work with my team and I'm the boss. I get to make choices and make the call, but I take it seriously and I'm able to live my values in a way that I was never really able to do before. And, you know, that was a big change. And it was a scary as hell change too, you know, like there was lots of times where I just wondered if I would ever kind of get all the way around that corner. And it was by using the philosophy that I teach and preach and coach, which is Agile. And I was like, okay, I actually only can affect one day at a time. So it actually is about those tiny bites, but tiny bites taken over time, going in a direction instead of trying to, you know, figure out every step. I would just allow myself to be wrong, allow myself to have setbacks, but know every day I was just making one tiny little bite and going in a direction. Whether I got there or not didn't really matter. It just became about living those values where I was just trying to make progress, trying to make things a little better, trying to make my customers happy, trying to make my team happy. And that is something you can do every single day. And if you just do it day after day after day after day, then you just forget about the goals. You forget about the, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to have this. I want to have that. Like, forget it.
Yeah.
I just
I want
love
today
what I do.
to be good.
I want today to be great.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's it. I just want every day to be great.
Yeah.
And that is a heck of a better goal than, trying to, I want 5 schools. Well, you get 5 schools. I want 7 schools.
Yeah,
it's like,
you're never going to be satiated.
You're never satiated.
Yeah. I think your philosophy mixed the bite-sized pieces and along with the being so human-centered, I think is magical. And I think you're right. I think you hit it right on the head that simultaneously, as we're seeing this huge growth in AI, we need to go back on that like individual human connection. And that's really going to be what, flips this on its head and turns it into a society that is joyful again.
Sure.
Playful, joyful, going back to some of those like indigenous ideas and philosophies simultaneously with, this AI, doing all the thinking for us.
It's really, really
it can
interesting.
think, we can feel.
Yeah, they do exactly. You do the thinking, we'll do the feeling. We'll do the connecting. We'll do the human thing.
The humor, the happiness.
Yeah, humor, laughing, the
heart.
Art. That's what we are. That's who we are, right? But we got to know
hearts, the arts, and the farts.
That's right. There you go. How's that not a T-shirt?
Right? We're on it.
Yeah, AI
I got a guy.
AI just registered that domain. God damn it. That would have been a great domain.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm glad that we finally got to make this work. And we can't wait to keep up with you.
And I hope DJ Ali G comes back for another round.
Oh, what a great
I was so excited for that.
That was so good.
Amazing.
Oh man, I have a gig this weekend. I'm super psyched about it. It's a birthday party. It's for twins.
That costume was perfect.
That was such a great costume.
Great.
That was a great night. It was the Jays were playing that night, so it was
we had to compete with the Jays.
But I love music. I love DJing, and it's the kind of thing that that was a passion that I parked for so many years, and I had to kind of get to a certain place where I'm like, wait a minute, I want to have fun too. So I'm psyched about gigging this weekend and continuing to DJ. I love it. I totally love
fun.
it. Yeah, it's wicked fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, and you'll never miss a podcast.
Good night.
Hey guys, we hope you loved that episode. We appreciate each and every one of you. We want to keep bringing you commercial-free content, and all we ask in return is you share this link with this week's episode with a fellow entrepreneur who might love it too. Your share is the greatest currency right now, and it'll help us grow this creative space more than you know.